Man's body, that's right, I do remember. Oh dear, good old RFL. Okay, Lee Centurions have confirmed that Paul Cook has joined Neil Dukes' coaching team with immediate effect on a contract till the end of November 2017. Cook, who has most recently been working as skills and backs coach at rugby union side Doncaster Knights, will join the Centurions with immediate effect. Brings a lot of experience. Paul Cook should definitely augment what's going on at Lee.
And they've got like a new halfback combination. It was a bit strange that Ridgerd was left out in favour of Reynolds and
Drinkwater. That's the big rumour, isn't it?
Yeah, but still, you still want to get promoted this year, don't you, Lee?
As we said, they did win without him.
True.
Okay.
So getting a new attack coach in at the same time as a new halfback pair probably makes some sort of sense, I suppose.
I would say so. Final piece of news then: Lee Centurions have confirmed that Kieran Purtill will join Neil Dukes' coaching staff at the end of the current season on a 2-year contract. Purtill has worked alongside some of the game's most highly regarded coaches since his playing career at Lee was ended by a recurring shoulder injury in 2002. He's currently the assistant coach at Huddersfield Giants, but Purtill has also worked for St Helens, initially under Ian Millward from 2002 to 2005, for the Huddersfield Giants from 2006 to 2008, and then returned to Saints from 2009 to 2012 before returning to the Giants. Must be strange for him to be leaving a job at the Huddersfield Giants and not going to St Helens, Mark.
But going back to somewhere else he worked at before.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's kind of like
confused. I bet day one he goes to St Helens.
Bouncing around these three clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
But, he's experienced and been involved in successful sides as well in that time.
Indeed.
So, yeah.
And he does follow us on Twitter as well.
He does, yeah.
So
good luck to him.
He continues to make exceptional choices, doesn't he?
Yep.
Right, that's the news from around the world of Rugby League, well and truly taken care of. Let's take a look back now at round 16 of Super League. Right, so round 16 of Super League, the season rumbles on, Mark, and we started on Thursday night down at the Menderhose Jungle. It ended Castleford 26, Wigan 33. I'm not going to say in controversial circumstances, because as it turns out, the rules were applied perfectly well, but Castleford fans might disagree with you, and it was certainly a very close and entertaining game of rugby league more than anything else, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you had a side who can attack with a bit of flair and unpredictability against a side that have no attack whatsoever, but worked really hard and probably were the more organised and powerful side in this game. In the end, I think Wigan's forward unit worked really well, got good gains, enabling Matty Smith to have a good game. Matty Smith looks so much better when there's other people taking the pressure off, in terms of being the people who set up the plays, get something to happen going forward, and all the attack isn't on his shoulders. He looks a lot more comfortable in that position, and behind a pack that for the second week in a row actually played direct, strong, and didn't make any stupid mistakes, really. And I think that was the key to this one. Wigan didn't make any stupid mistakes. Castleford
had a bit of an error-filled
did make quite a few stupid mistakes, the stupidest of which is not knowing the rules of rugby league and getting yourself sin-binned as a result. I think that's quite obvious. But yeah, I'd say Wigan definitely edged it and deserved to win by a narrowish margin. That was a closer game than it needed to be. Wigan probably could have closed it out, but Castleford have got so much to offer going forward. With the way that the players sort of feed off each other. It's not necessarily structured all the time, but it worked really well. Wigan's goal line defence, Sam Tompkins was involved in 2 or 3 goal line tackles, and a few other players were as well. Don Manfredi a couple. Sam Powell pulled off a great tackle on Ryan Hampshire that Sam Tompkins also was involved in. So yeah, it was a good rearguard action when it needed to be by Wigan, and they made ground fairly easily anyway.
You're right. I feel like on the balance of play, Wigan did deserve to win, and it was nice to see Tompkins and George Williams starting to dovetail with each other a little bit more as well, and that I only reckon will improve as the season goes on, which frankly bodes well for us. And the reason I'm excited about it, because I have no desire for it to be for Wigan's benefit, but from an England point of view, that benefits us really well. If George Williams ends up playing in the England squad, you would think that if Sam Tompkins can have a decent second half to the season, he's going to be first choice fullback ahead of Hardacre, who just seems to have gone off the boil this year a little bit, along with his teammates. So that's a good thing to see from my point of view, to see them dovetailing in nicely. One thing I really noticed in this game, and then I've been noticing it more and more as I've watched rugby league this weekend, and it's starting to tick me off. It's fucking tap when like the ball's forced loose, or when people make an error, patting people on the head and stuff. That's fucking bullshit. That's such piss poor sportsmanship that it needs to fucking someone needs to get binned for it.
I'm pretty sure.
Need to get in touch with the clubs and go, stop being a set of pricks. And I appreciate that this is a turnaround in my position on it from the Warrington Salford game, where I quite like watching Ben Curry do it.
I had this rant earlier in the year, didn't I?
But it's growing, and it seems to be more prevalent, and it's going to get somebody hurt. That's the problem. If someone's going to do it, and the person who gets the pat on the head is going to turn around and chin some fucker, and then we're all going to really kick off about it. The referees just need to get in touch with the clubs and say, stop being grubby little dicks about it. You've already forced the error.
They did, though. They did. This was a directive handout at the start of the year, and exactly. And this is where
they fucking enforce it.
This is where some of the problem comes in with how the officials manage the games, because you get a directive and then it's just totally ignored.
Yeah. Tell us about the stats then, Mark. What happened in this one?
Right. Well, shall we talk about John Bateman before we get to the stats?
Yeah.
Because the one
we don't really know.
Well, we don't really know about that. We'll talk about that preview next week in terms of whether he's a filthy little glasser or maybe something else happened. But we'll talk about that later on. We can't speculate too much on something we know very little facts about.
Yes.
But no, I'm talking about what happened in this game. So the one thing I think the one incident in the game that I think Cass maybe have a gripe over that is a bit exaggerated, I feel, but still is the case, is Bateman's penalty that was given on Adam Milner, when Milner clearly held him down, pulled him back to the floor, and then after doing so, when Bateman got up, he gave him a little slap round the top of the head and
threw the ball in the back,
dropped the ball down on him.
It wasn't. He didn't drop it. He did not put it under his legs, and it was thrown.
Yeah, I think the slap round the top of the head had as much force as the ball.
Yeah, but neither of them. Yeah, they weren't particularly. They were overly aggressive.
And again, but they're things that we don't want to see happening. The penalty's already been given. You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
Just ask then. So, in a way, the penalty could have been reversed, maybe, potentially, for that. But then, Dawn and Gale come running in from 5 and 10 yards in a piece and start a big mass that could have turned into a brawl if the players didn't want to not get sent off. And so it could have been turned back around again. It's just like... So Bateman kind of instigated that as much as Dawn did, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you just go back to that first penalty, but still, that's the only thing I think in the game, because after that was when the conversation with Gale and Thaler happened, where Gale was trying to chip in, and Thaler just wasn't for listening to it, and then he had a conversation with Bateman to sort of tell Bateman to not instigate things, and Bateman said something back to him that made him laugh, and he gave him a wink or whatever, and Cass fans and Cass people are up in arms about the difference in the way the players were treated, and I do think there's a little bit of merit in that. I'm not sure what the problem is between Thaler and the Castleford club and players.
Well, if there's a problem, and I'm not sure that there necessarily is, but if there's a problem, it maybe starts, like Darryl Powell alluded to, with his performance with his performance in the game at Catalan, where frankly Ben Thaler was trying to do the right thing, but in doing so didn't apply the rules properly. He should have just gone with what Thierry Alibert said, even though by every measure Thierry Alibert was wrong in his decision, and Ben Thaler was trying to be fair, I think, and do the right thing, but it comes across as, no, you're not following the rules, you're supposed to listen to what the video ref says, and that's the end of it. So I think it stems from that a little bit. I also think it's tough on Ben Thaler, who I really rate as a referee, frankly, to kind of take those two instances in an 80-minute game of rugby league, where they're two of the 3 or 4 only times we hear any kind of back and forth between the players, none of the continual stuff that will be going on the field of play, and take those 2 examples and say, well, that's how you know that he's biased towards Wigan, and that's how you know that he doesn't like Castleford Tigers, because at that point in time, Luke Gale was was chipping in and frankly had a bit of the Danny Bruffs about him. I'm not entirely sure that Ben Thaler, in the context of what's going on the field, isn't right to say, no, I'm not listening to you at the minute, I'm talking. He's in charge of the game, They have the right to come
let
speak
that
to him,
moment
but
of the
do it
game
in the
finish,
right
let the penalty be kicked, then have a conversation rather than
Precisely.
shout at him saying, no, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, but this.
Exactly. He didn't come to him and go, sir, this is what we think happened. Can you ask, he doesn't do it in the right way. So maybe that's why Ben Taylor's going, no, I'm not interested, Luke. And maybe John Bateman, who didn't seem to be quite as yappy, gets treated a slightly different way in the context of those two incidents. I think it's really tough on Ben Taylor to say, based on 15 seconds, you've had a shitter and you're not a good referee. It's absolute rubbish.
It came back more, didn't it, as well, with the sin bin in for dissent. And I'm sure, I know that we're going to have to mention that. Because someone's either been a trolley little bastard or doesn't know the fucking rules of rugby league and needs to go and look at the rule book. One of the two things.
I prefer to believe in the intelligence of our listeners and just say that you're being trolled, Mark.
But anyway, anyway.
So there you go, John Bateman.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing he's done this week, if rumours are to be believed, so...
I was more leading into the whole conversation piece with the Thaler stuff as well, because obviously there's some sort of breakdown in the relationship there for the dissent to then happen, and for that to be boiling up through the whole game, really, that sort of attitude of chipping in at his decisions and that sort of thing. Anyway, Wigan made over 200 more metres at a better average gain. They made one less error and had 7 more attacking kicks that suggest they won the territory battle. Cast, to their credit, with a bit less ball and under 1,000 metres, still made 8 breaks to Wigan's 6 and had 8 more successful offloads. So, like I say, better attacking side, not necessarily the better rugby league side of the day. They also had a 4% better team tackle success. Both teams conceded 10 penalties, even penalty count. Just throwing it out there. So individually, Don Manfredi, who I thought was excellent again.
He was superb.
He got 1 try, 11 tackle busts, 164 metres and 2 clean breaks. John Bateman had 126 metres. Ryan Sutton off the bench, 108 metres. I thought he was
really like
very strong.
Well, I picked him out at the start of he was my one to watch for you guys, and he's really proven it this year, isn't he? I
actually think he probably would have edged my man of the match, although I've no problem with Matty Smith getting it on the Sky. Or if anyone wanted to give it to Powell or Manfredi or this next guy, Josh Charnley, who grabbed 2 tries, 2 clean breaks. I think, and the pass from George Williams for his first try, I mean, it's great having that kid back in the team because it shows a lot more creativity and
you're a lot less one-dimensional, aren't you, in attack in a minute? Or you're starting to be that way anyway.
Talking about someone who's definitely not one-dimensional in attack, Denny Solomona took 2 tries, taking his total to 20 from 15 games this year in Super League. 5 tackle balls, 130 metres, 4 clean breaks. Junior Moores had 159 metres, and Luke Dawn with 3 try assists makes up the stats roundup for this game.
Okay, so quite a few people got in touch on this one. Alfie, who I assume is Dargana, he said, I feel cheated and I'm not a Cass fan. I will be the last in line to bag a ref, but the half-time brain fart by Ben left me wondering what would have happened if the penalty was awarded to Cass for offside, and the second half had have started 13 versus 13. We'll never know. Wonder if Ben will be refereeing next week. Might be time for him to book a holiday.
See, the way he's written that, I think he is not trying to troll and actually doesn't understand that Oliver Gildart cannot be offside if he touches a ball behind where the previous player on his team touched it. In the rule book, everyone should know this.
And immediately, though, they broke it down for everyone on Sky.
Well, they didn't. They waited until all the way after half time.
Oh, right, I was whizzing through. I didn't watch it until I got back from work, so I just whizzed it through.
So what happened is, they didn't show a replay straight away.
Right.
And people were on it on social media, obviously, because it kicked off into a sin binning for someone who mouthed off at the ref twice, had a shout at him, then ran 10 yards to have a closer shout at him, deserved to go to the sin bin for it. And I don't think Darryl Powell questioned that in terms of, it's just saying the decision was wrong, kind of like Darren is, and both of them don't know the rules, obviously then. You can understand.
Well, we don't know that rule. Let's be even-handed.
They don't know all the rules.
Yeah. Okay. That's not the rule.
So anyway,
why don't we be even-handed?
So what happened in the Sky breakdown at half time was on the screen stuff.
Yeah.
Former Cass player John Wells, who's normally very even-handed in his analysis, was very dismissive of the fact that Brian Carney chipped in and said, well, what the referee has said is it's gone backwards.
Yeah.
And they didn't clarify, I don't feel, whether he said it was a knock-on and then went backwards, or wasn't a knock-on and just went backwards. Yeah. Either way, it was marginal on whether it was a knock-on, to be completely honest, but I'd say it probably was. But a knock-on at that stage of the game unless a penalty occurs, would be half-time. A penalty couldn't be awarded under the correct interpretation of the rules because the ball that Don Manfredi has been touched on or just over the 20-metre line. Okay, it's either gone forwards or sideways or backwards off him, not by much, but bounced just in front of the 20-metre line. Bounced backwards. Oliver Gildart has ran from in front of Don Manfredi to behind where Don Manfredi touched the ball on the 20-metre line and touched the ball about 18 metres out.
Yeah.
It cannot be a penalty.
Yeah.
There's even a diagram on the RFL rules section of the website. There's even a diagram explaining that cannot be offside.
Yeah.
So